Y'all, it finally went down after months of quiet tension and low-key shade. Kimmi Scott and Nell Fletcher blew up in a confrontation so wild, even the producers didn't see it coming. We're talking yelling, shoving, and secrets being hurled. Like grenades, the cameras captured every second. This blowout shook the entire love and marriage, Huntsville fandom to its core, and trust me when I say, what happened that day is going to change this show permanently. This ain't just your typical petty lamb squabble, y'all. This is drama on another level, one that's got fans, castmates, and even the OWN network running around in a panic behind the scenes. Kimmi Scott, the one who usually keeps her cool and plays the peacekeeper, finally lost it, and the target of that eruption? None other than Nell Fletcher. Now, if you've been paying attention, you probably picked up on the warning signs: side eyes, slick comments, and plenty of fake smiling through gritted teeth. But what recently went down off camera and made its way online was way deeper than just a disagreement. This was a real clash full of accusations, deep betrayals, and jaw-dropping personal revelations that left everyone in shock. In today's video, we're unpacking every detail that led to this explosive showdown, the simmering tension, the buried lies, and the actual reason Kimmi finally snapped. And we're not stopping there. We've got exclusive behind-the-scenes info you haven't heard anywhere else. What are the cast members saying off camera? What does this fight mean for the future of the show? We've got it all. So stay locked in, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why it happened, how it spiraled out of control, and what's coming next. It might just blow your mind. Seriously, this isn't just drama, it's a full-blown reckoning. Let's get into it. Now, before the cameras ever rolled on that explosive moment, cracks had already started forming in Kimmi and Nell's friendship. But make no mistake, that tension didn't just show up overnight. It had been quietly brewing for months, maybe even years, and the fans who were really watching, they noticed the clues. It started off subtle eye rolls during group events, shady jabs in the confessionals, and dead silence whenever certain topics came up. At first glance, it just looked like a clash in personalities. Kimmi, always calm and careful with her words, often seemed guarded. On the other hand, Nell, way more outspoken and bold, never held back, especially when she felt she was being disrespected. One of the earliest warning signs? That messy couples retreat not too long ago. Remember when the group tried to talk out their communication problems? Everyone opened up and got real except Kimmi. She stayed surface level, and that irritated Nell. According to sources, Nell believed Kimmi was keeping it safe and holding back just to maintain her image, while everyone else was out here being vulnerable. Then came the rumors. Oh yes, the quiet whispers behind the scenes that Kimmi had allegedly spoken to the producers about Nell's behavior off camera. Word is Kimmi supposedly told a few execs that Nell was dragging the energy of the show down with her aggression and lack of loyalty. And let's be real, if there's any truth to that, you already know that would have set Nell all the way off. She's not the type to handle betrayal lightly. Around the same time, fans started noticing that Kimmi began pulling back from the group. She skipped brunches, steered clear of after parties, and kept her distance from Nell online. No likes, no comments, nothing. And for a cast that basically breeds Instagram clout, that silence said a whole lot. But the most revealing moment came during a panel interview, when Nell admitted that she felt certain women on the show just didn't want to see other women shine. She didn't drop any names, but fans were quick to assume that shade was aimed directly at Kimmi. So yeah, this tension wasn't just real, it was boiling. And it was only a matter of time before it exploded into something far messier. Now that we've unpacked the long, slow build-up between Kimmi and Nell, let's break down the exact moment everything blew up on set. The actual spark that turned their quiet Cold War into a full-blown, no-going-back kind of confrontation. It all happened during filming for what was supposed to be a healing-focused group dinner. Yep, dinner that was meant to bring everyone together ended up ripping them apart. According to folks close to production, the conversation turned toward the themes of loyalty and betrayal in friendships. Oh, the irony. That's when things got tense. One cast member, we're not dropping names just yet, but let's just say they were stirring the pot like a big bowl of gumbo, asked Kimmi directly why she'd been distancing herself from Nell. Kimmi, trying to keep things respectful, said something like, "I just felt we weren't aligned anymore. That's all." But Nell? She wasn't about to let that slide. She jumped in loudly and made sure everyone at that table heard her side of things. She claimed Kimmi had been trash-talking her to producers, trying to get her camera time cut, and worst of all, pretending to be a friend while secretly throwing her under the bus. Let's just say it got real messy. Kimmi immediately shut down the claims, saying Nell was fabricating drama just to get more screen time. But Nell came prepared. She didn't just bring accusations, she allegedly brought proof, text receipts and voice memos that, according to her, backed up everything she was saying. And that's when things really escalated. Kimmi stood up. Nell stood up. Words like phony, opportunist, and even snakes started flying around. Security began inching closer just in case, because everyone felt the vibe shift. It wasn't about the cameras anymore. This was pure, unfiltered emotion spilling out after years of held-back frustration and silent resentment. And while no punches were thrown, people who saw the live stream or who were there in person say, Kimmi's face went ice cold. At one point, she looked Nell dead in the eye and said, "You've always been jealous of the way I carry myself. That's the truth, and what really bothers you is that I don't have to raise my voice to earn respect." You could have heard a pin drop. And just like that, Kimmi stormed off, leaving the entire table in complete shock. Producers tried to get the situation under control, but it was already far too late. The drama had spilled well beyond the cameras, and within hours, the internet absolutely exploded as soon as word got out once that explosive dinner scene footage hit the internet. It was like tossing a lit match into a tank full of gasoline. Social media went wild instantly. Fans of love and marriage, Huntsville were completely floored. Within minutes, hashtags like #KimSmell, #LAMH drama, and #KMMY snaps back were trending across X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Let's break it down. First off, fans were totally split. Some backed Kimmi, praising her for staying composed and refusing to stoop to a messy level. Others came to Nell's defense, saying she finally called out what they believed was Kimmi's quiet manipulation. One user wrote, "Kimmi always acts above the drama, but she's been shady behind the scenes. Nell just had the guts to call it out." But then another clapped back with, "Nell's been jealous from the jump. Kimmi stayed classy, I would have walked away too. #Team Kim." Influencers even started taking things a step further, digging into old footage. Moments where Kimmi gave Nell the side eye, cut her off mid-sentence, or hit her with a dry compliment were suddenly being clipped and reshared. TikTok creators began stitching those clips with captions like, "The signs were always there." Meanwhile, gossip blogs and YouTubers weren't far behind. Within 24 hours, more than 50 videos had popped up analyzing the entire confrontation offerings supposed behind the scenes. Team breaking down what this drama might mean for Kimmi's future on the show. Even big LAMH fan accounts got involved, with some claiming that producers could be rewriting next season's storyline to center around this feud, especially now that it's generating so much attention. But it didn't end there. Several cast members began posting cryptic messages online too. Kimmi's husband, Morris, shared and quickly deleted an Instagram story that read, "When you finally see people for who they are, act accordingly." Fans took that as a clear sign he was standing with Kimmi. Nell supporters, though, argued it was just damage control. Nell, for her part, posted a lengthy caption under a photo of herself with a few unnamed female cast members that read, "Some friendships are only real when it's convenient. Keep your head up and your receipts ready." Yeah, this wasn't just for cameras. The beef had turned deeply personal. And fans could feel it. This was the realest drama, love, and marriage Huntsville had served up in a long time. There were even whispers that OWN execs were scrambling behind the scenes, trying to spin all the footage into a two-part reunion special, or maybe even greenlight a full-on spin-off focused solely on the fallout between these two powerhouse women. Bottom line, Kimmi and Nell didn't just stir up drama. They completely shifted the vibe of the entire franchise, and the internet? Oh, they were eating it up like Sunday dinner. Let's talk about the aftermath of that dinner table disaster, because what happened afterward might have permanently altered the entire love and marriage. Huntsville Universe. What started off as a fiery confrontation didn't wrap up with just that night. It unleashed a ripple effect, changing brands, shifting public opinion, and sparking some serious behind-the-scenes conversations about who's rising and who might be on their way out. Let's begin with Kimmi. For years, She's been known as the show's voice of reason, the one who managed to stay out of the chaos while still keeping it real. But after Nell's explosive call-out, folks started looking at Kimmi through a different lens. And not everyone liked what they saw. Blogs began resurfacing old clips from previous seasons, moments where Kimmi appeared to downplay problems or refused to hold Morris accountable for some of his shady behavior. Critics started labeling her as the queen of passive aggression, saying she'd always hidden behind that polished, composed exterior while subtly jabbing at other women on the show, especially Letitia and Destiny. Even longtime fans started questioning whether Kimmi's whole above the drama act was really just a front of shield she used to avoid being dragged until Nell finally called her out. And perhaps the most telling part? Her brand partnerships began to fizzle. One skincare sponsor reportedly put a campaign with her on pause right after the episode aired. Now, while Kimmi hasn't confirmed that, insiders claim the company wanted to hold off until things calmed down. Definitely not a great sign. Meanwhile, Nell's brand, Baby, it skyrocketed the second she walked away from that dinner chin-up, confidence intact. Nell instantly became a fan favorite. She didn't cry, didn't fold. She exposed, delivered, and walked away, and fans ate it up. Practically overnight, her Instagram follower count shot up by 30,000. And on top of that, she reportedly locked in 2 new deals, one with a fashion label, and another with a podcast platform that's rumored to be launching her very own limited series drama podcast titled Behind the Smile. Fans are already expecting that podcast to drop even more tea about Kimmi, her marriage, and other LAMH cast members. Even Carlos King, the show's executive producer, jumped into the mix with a shady tweet many took as a nod to that dinner showdown. It read, "Some cast members just get it. It's about being real, not rehearsed. #LAMH. That one tweet lit the internet on fire. Was Carlos throwing subtle shade at Kimmi for being too calculated? Or was he giving Nell her flowers for shaking the entire table? But what really confirmed the shift in momentum? A viral fan poll that swept through YouTube and X, over 70% of viewers voted that Nell came off as more authentic and trustworthy than Kimmi following the drama at that dinner. Ouch. And to make things worse, whispers started making the rounds that Kimmi could be stepping into a reduced role next season, or worse, might even be leaving the show completely if she can't turn around her public image. Meanwhile, Nell? Word on the street is she's currently in talks to lock down a main cast spot, something she's apparently been eyeing for quite some time. So while Kimmi's been left picking up the pieces of her shattered image, trying to shake off the fake label that's now following her around, Nell has been soaring, stepping into her own spotlight with brand deals, growing social media numbers, and a flood of fan support. But this fallout wasn't just emotional, it was calculated, professional, and absolutely ruthless. Now let's take a step back from all the chaos and ask the real question that's been floating all over social media. Was this entire thing orchestrated by producers at OWN? Because let's be honest, the timing, the camera work, the reactions, it all felt a little too perfect. Almost like someone scripted it that way. And when it comes to reality TV, nothing's ever 100% off the cuff, especially not on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let's really break it down. First off, the setup, pure cinema. That dinner scene was staged like a reality soap opera. Every cast member seemed to be seated in just the right position. Kimmi, placed directly across from Nell, and multiple cameras were already rolling before dessert even hit the table. Nell didn't waste a second. Now, anyone who watches reality TV knows the juiciest drama never happens by accident. Not when everyone's micced up and ready. It's almost a guarantee producers knew Nell was walking into that dinner ready to set things off. In fact, insiders say producers were the ones pushing Nell to speak her truth at that dinner, even though she had already talked things out with Kimmi behind the scenes weeks before. According to a production assistant who reportedly spoke anonymously to a YouTube gossip blogger, Nell hadn't initially planned to air it out on camera, but producers told her flat out, "This is your moment. Say it now or the show moves on without it." They knew this would make for incredible TV. Second, the cast was reportedly caught off guard except one person. After the episode aired, fans noticed something odd. While most of the cast looked genuinely shocked as Nell started going in, one person remained completely unfazed: Morris. That's right, Morris Scott. Kimmi's husband didn't react with the kind of surprise or outrage you'd expect from a man watching his wife get dragged in front of the whole cast. In fact, he looked like he expected it. And that has fans asking the obvious question, was Morris in on this with production? Was this his way of finally shifting the heat off of himself and letting Kimmi take the public fall? Wouldn't be the first time own producers allegedly used cast members like chess pieces to keep the drama flowing. Just ask Melody Holt or Martell. Both have publicly accused the showrunners of tweaking timelines and editing conversations to turn up the tension and boost ratings. Third, and maybe most telling, the ratings speak for themselves. Drama sells and OWN knows it. The episode featuring Nell's fiery takedown of Kimmi pulled in the highest viewership of the entire season. Within 48 hours, that scene was trending on X, formerly Twitter, and getting reposted all over YouTube. Reaction channels .on executives are said to be thrilled with the numbers. In fact, there are already whispers that a behind-the-blow-up style reunion special is in the works featuring Nell, Kimmi, and Morris all seated together, face-to-face, ready to rehash every jaw-dropping moment. So it's pretty hard not to believe this moment was exactly what they wanted, maybe even something that was orchestrated behind the scenes. And that brings us to point number 4, one of Carlos King's signature moves. Let's not forget, the undisputed king of reality TV drama himself, Carlos. King, who's known for his work on RHOA and a long list of other hit shows. Carlos has never been one to avoid stirring the pot to create unforgettable television. In fact, he once said during an interview, "You don't cast reality stars for peace, you cast them for pressure." So when you know how Carlos operates, it's very likely this whole situation was purposely crafted to shake up Kimmi's carefully polished image and open the door for a rising personality like Nell to step in. And if that was the plan? Let's be real, it worked. The fans are talking, the gossip blogs are churning out content, and the cast members are clearly rattled. But that brings us to the biggest plot twist of all. After weeks of online speculation, relentless whispers, and rumors that spread like wildfire, Kimmi Scott finally hit her breaking point. What no one saw coming, though, was how she chose to respond, and what happened next. It completely flipped the script. During a sit-down interview set up by producers, as a so-called reconciliation meeting between Kimmi and Nell, viewers were bracing for another round of high-tension drama. But from the moment Kimmi walked into the room, it was obvious something was different. She wasn't there to bicker. She wasn't there to break down. She came ready to reveal. Dressed in a striking red suit, a color that represents both warning and power, Kimmi wasted zero time. "Let me clear a few things up," she began, staring directly into the camera. "I've stayed quiet out of respect. I've taken the shots, ignored the noise, but what you're not gonna do is keep using my name for clout." Gasps echoed across the room. Members of the production crew reportedly even paused filming for a moment, stunned by Kimmi's sudden shift in energy. But she wasn't done. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a small stack of receipts, literal ones. Texts, call logs, and timestamped emails between Nell and various cast members. "Let's talk about what really went down," Kimmi continued, laying it all out. She claimed Nell had been working behind the scenes to stir up drama long before any cameras were even rolling. According to Kimmi, what fans witnessed wasn't some sudden explosion. It was the final straw in months of tension and manipulation. She alleged Nell had leaked private convos, fed partial truths to blogs, and staged scenes to increase her screen time, all while quietly tearing Kimmi down to build herself up. But the real jaw-dropper? Kimmi then presented a clip footage taken on a crew member's phone showing Nell allegedly admitting to fabricating certain details about Morris and Marsa. The clip never aired, but Kimmi's team made sure the network saw it, and right. Then the entire vibe in the room shifted. Producers scrambled. Nell had nothing to say. And for the first time in weeks, Kimmi looked fully in control. She ended with a statement that silenced the entire set. "You tried to break me. You tried to destroy my family. But I'm still standing and I'm not going anywhere."